Hello again and welcome back to a video. Obviously I'm moving on probably with the thoughts of getting this allotment in the next few weeks. It's all looking very good, and so I've got my little old Mantis tiller out. This hasn't been used now for about, I don't know, what would it be, 10 coming up, probably 15 years. It's been in a shed, it's been in a dry shed, and occasionally it's in the same shed where I keep one of my lawnmowers that I use frequently in the grass cutting season. So I've been pulling the pull start, so I know it's free. It's, you know, but it hasn't been run for 15 years. I did, before I put it away, I did drain the tank down. This is a little Mantis cultivator. I'll be honest with you. I used to think these were, you know, kind of, you know, I wouldn't be seen dead with one. It's a bit like, you know, taking a poodle for a walk. I had a massive, great golden retriever dog, you know, and this is, I always thought in comparisons, this was like, you know, a poodle kind of thing. But I'm not going to knock it, because if you've got the soil dug over and you want a quick way, you've got to get the, particularly on certain kinds of soil, but you've got to get the just top of the soil just right. If you run these cultivator blades over, it does make a fantastic seed bed. It's ideal for sort of cultivating that fine a little bit down to a really good seed bed. So they really are quite a useful tool, and I you know, stand corrected. This came from mine. I didn't buy this. An old gentleman finished. He moved. He went to live with his son on our former allotment sites in Northampton, and he said, would we like to buy it? So we gave him something. He didn't ask us a lot of money for it, because they still fetch, you know, quite reasonable prices. I think they still are made, but now they're made. This is the 2-stroke engine version. I think they have to be made with a 4-stroke engine now, or you can get them in electric versions if you're close to a mains socket, that is, or you have a generator. So yeah, you really useful little bit of kit. You know, not to be knocked. It's really good for that, you know, breaking the top down into a nice tilth and a nice seed bed. And you can get attachments. You can even, you know, have an attachment on this to furrow potatoes up and things like that. And you know, you can even in the summer months, you can even cultivate between rows if you've got a lot of weeds. That's really handy, you know, because it's only about a foot. It's only about a foot, you know, cultivator width. So I won't ramble on anymore. I'll bring the camera in and show you what I'm going to do to this. So if we have a little bit of a closer look here, you can see this is the primer bulb there, and the carburetor sits below that. This little thing is, we can actually, if that will unscrew. No, I shall need oh no, it will. This should be the air cleaner behind here. Keep the stuff together. That should come off, and I think that you can see that top is slightly broke on this one. Never easy doing this by hand, with one hand. There we go. And that comes out there, and we'll give that a clean. Now you can see it's a very messy old air filter. But what I've managed to do, would you believe, on Amazon, you can buy a complete kind of refresh kit for these Mantis engines. You can buy I've got a complete new carburetor. I shan't throw the old one away, I shall clean it all. But I thought just this is so much quicker to put the new carburetor on. You know, it comes as is with gaskets and primer bulbs. And then also some new fuel lines, because those are pretty worn and pretty old. So you get those as well. You get a new filter and a new spark plug. And I think that, amazingly, that was under £14. So as I say, I thought that was quite a, a cheap way of doing it. I don't know whether it's as good as this carb. That one obviously is from China, I'm sure, but I shall keep this carb, and then in time clean it all out and put a new primer bulb on it. And if that doesn't seem to function, well, we can put the original carb back on. Obviously, as I say, this is laid in a shed, relatively dry shed, but even so, it's only been in a shed for 15 years. So obviously, things do start to get a little bit. Things are blowing away here. Things do start to get a little bit corroded. Oh, that's tight again. Let's see if I've got a better screwdriver on. I think it would take a cross thread actually. My goodness, that is tight. Oh, there we go. Oh, they are incredibly tight, those two screws. So we'll take this off and see how we get into this all. It's always useful when you're doing these kind of jobs, even if you don't do anything with the video, I like to try and photo or video, because although I have got the manual for this, how it goes, and there we go, 2 long screws. That's the choke assembly. So we'll give excuse me, we'll give that a good clean up. Obviously now, hopefully that should break off there. Yes, it does. There is a gasket on there, and we'll take those fuel lines off. There again, they'll be pretty, and you can say that's pretty. We'll try not to get any dirt in there, because as I say, I'm going to clean that all off with brake fluid, and hopefully keep that as a spare. Let's put on there. Now, give that a good wipe and clean up, I think, if we can. I'm not going to stand over this. It's an old machine, and it's had many hours use, but I just thought it would be quite useful, particularly this year, probably, where ground has been cultivated quickly and probably very roughly. If I was to fork it over and even perhaps turn it over with a spade, and then it comes wet a few times, dries out, this is the ideal thing of making a good tilth to sow some quick seeds in, because obviously time is getting on this year. Well, by May the 1st, when these allotments will be ready, that is anyway. So I've given the tank a good wipe over, not gone overboard with it, just wiped all the dirt off it, and I've removed the old filter and pipe assembly, which just fits into that hole with a rubber gasket. I can see an issue straight away because the new gasket is a lot bigger, and I don't know where that's going to fit my hole, so we might have to reuse that if that is the case, and we can't fit that in. As I say, can you see the rubber there where my finger is much bigger than this one I've taken out. But what I'm going to do, obviously that goes into there, sits in the bottom of the tank with the filter on it, and then that has to be worked into that hole. So what I'll try and do is, I think I'm going to put a little bit of fairy liquid. I don't want to put a screwdriver if I can help it round that, because it's very easy to either cut through the pipes or cut through the rubber and break the seal, and you'll have fuel coming out. So I'm going to put a little bit of fairy liquid round that and see if I can slip it into there. It might. Well, after a bit of a fight, I think that's in. I mean, obviously it is on the verge of being a little bit too big, but I'm hoping that will seal, and I hope I haven't damaged it, you know, in getting it in there. You can see I damaged my knuckle there, but that's just a minor little thing. It is mighty tight. That is a lot bigger, this one, than what was in the original, you know, obviously the original Mantis one. And this kit was sold for a Mantis cultivator. But hopefully that'll be okay. I might just try and, you know, turn it round a little bit and make sure it's seated right. You know, I don't want any air. You don't want any air. You want a really good seal there on that. So there we go. We can start to now think about putting our tank back on, and then putting our carb on and connecting up the pipe work. So I've cleaned the choke assembly up there, and got my new carb. Obviously, there is I'm not going to take this part of the carb off. There is a gasket behind there, which is fine. And this only has a gasket, that kind of gasket. Can you see that? I hope you'll be able to see that anyway. Probably holding it miles from the camera as always. That goes on the back there. That gasket kind of lines up with the holes. I think I got it wrong way round, perhaps. That's going that way, so that is going that way, like so. That's better. Doesn't line up very good with that hole though, does it? But we shall. That's getting better now. That's more like it. I thought if I could get my screws going through there. Obviously this is all a bit of a fiddle, but it's just one of those things you fiddle about with, you know, and it's soon. And if we slip our gasket on there, and then if we get that back on there, push our pipes just out the way for a minute and get this, try and get this screwed back up a little bit. Hopefully we can put our pipes on after, I'm hoping. Just thought that would be a lot easier in doing that way. I'm not going to over tighten that for a minute or two. These were very tight. There's our choke. Yep, our choke plate still works. Let's tighten those up now a bit. Obviously there again, you do want a good seal there. And we can put those two spare little and then unfortunately you perhaps won't see this now in the proceedings, but now what is in and what is out, I shall have to consult my book on that, I think. So hopefully you'll see I've got the black pipe on the top, the return on the bottom, and that little thing there is like a breather. It's got like a little, hopefully can you see if I hold the camera steady, that's a little breather there. So hopefully we're right there. I'm sure that's, you know, how I took them off. I'm pleased with how that gasket is sealed round there. It has gone on okay, and I just got the pliers in some rag and just slightly worked it, turned it, and with the fairy liquid I'd got on it, it seems to have really locked into place and has pushed back well, giving a good seal. So that's basically it there. We can try that. That's the primer bulb. Obviously it's got one of those already fitted, and I've got the gasket on the back, and I'll just finally tighten these two screws there that hold the carb on. The throttle linkage is at the back. I've got the throttle dropped in obviously there, and obviously when you pull the throttle, that will then go up. That just kind of turns and screws up, I believe there. It's just So yeah, the throttle, there is a little slot in the bottom. It wants to be with the slot at the bottom, and then the little like thing on the bottom, like it's a bit like that's like I would say cable, and has the little thing on the bottom there that locks into the hole, so that will stop it falling out. So it does work. It's fine. It's like this one. I couldn't see, if you can see on this work. Well, let's get it into place. There is a cutout at the bottom where that little cable end fits into, and obviously that stops it slipping out then. So it is identical. The carburetor looks absolutely identical to this one I've taken off. But so I'm going to give this a good clean up and put a new bulb, you know, a pressure bulb on that, primer bulb, and I'll save that because obviously this is an original Mantis part. So if I don't have any joy with this one, I can put this one back on. So while I'm doing it, I will send a spark plug. The old one does look a bit well worn there, and I'll just clean around the hole here and clean this bit of guard up and put the new spark plug back in, which I have there. So there's our new plug back in now. Obviously that's just simple drop, you know, replace the plug, it's take the old one out, put the new one in, not over tightened it. Our carb is all back on. I have cleaned the air filter housing, so we'll put the air filter goes on there and just over like the choke assembly there where my finger is, so we'll put that back on. So I know I've said before on my other channel, I do like this Aspen fuel. This is ready mixed 2-stroke and it's Aspen fuel, and this doesn't go off like modern day petrol. You can keep this in here yeah, for many months, and the machine will start. I can guarantee that if everything's okay with the machine. You can't blame the fuel. This is brilliant, this Aspen fuel, and it's a lot cleaner. It's a lot cleaner burn, and it's not supposed to give so much harmful emissions out as well. And I just like it. It seems to suit these smaller, you know, hedge cutters, chainsaws, and these 2-stroke. If you've got any older 2-stroke machines left, I really do recommend this Aspen fuel. It's not cheap. It's a lot dearer than, you know, mixing your own fuel. I think if you go and buy this, you know, to garden mower centre or shop, or you know, anywhere like that, garden centre might well sell it. It's about £20 for 5 litres, but this lasts me a long while. I don't use an awful lot, so I do like it. So we'll put some of that in, and I'll set the camera back up, and we'll try and see if we can have a start and see what happens. So it became so rough yesterday. I had to abort the finishing off of the Mantis, and so it's still very windy. It's still blowing a gale out here today. It's now very nearly 24 hours later, and it's still blowing a gale. But the last job you really want to check is this piece in like the gearbox. I've got the tines off. The tines go on there, and you'll see these 4 screws. You know, these tend to get a bit bashed about. They get some mud in them. You perhaps have to, you know, clean mine out and spray some WD-40 in them to clean them out. And then what you do is remove these 4 screws, which will do. I shall probably have to put the camera down while I do this, and then we'll come back and I'll show you what it says in the book to do then. So I've got the cover off, and you can see there's a big cogwheel there, wheel with teeth on, and all one does is make sure you get some fresh lithium grease. In the book it says use Mantis grease, but apparently that is a lithium based grease, and you put some fresh grease around that, not too much. You'll see there's a cork gasket there as well, and you know, you don't want to fill it or anything like that, but just make sure there's some fresh grease round this sort of cogwheel. And I'll put some on and then show you. Then it's just a question of putting the 4 screws back. So there we go. I put some fresh grease around that. That's, you know, quite sufficient. And now we'll just simply put our cover back on and put our 4 screws back in there. And it's just a bit of fresh grease there. Obviously, that's, you know, this gearbox area is prone to a lot of wear, I think. And so I've slipped the tines back on now as well. I usually put a little bit of grease also just on the you know, shafts before I slip the cultivator tines back on. You don't want to worry too much about how they get bent. They'll still chop the soil up. You know, this has had a lot of use over its life, and believe you me, it doesn't matter if these are a bit bent. If you try and straighten them, believe you me, they're so thin they probably break. So I would just leave them as they are. I've just got some of the little bits of surface rust off them and some of the cobwebs that was in there, but you know, it's going to go in the soil, and probably if the soil's a bit damp it's going to stick to them, so yeah, you're probably going to have to clean them regularly anyway. So it's, you know, it's not something that you polish up or over clean by any means. But so I do like to just put a little bit of grease on the shafts before I slide the cultivator tines back on, and that's it really. The tines are fastened on by like a spring clip there that just goes through, and that obviously fastens them on, so very easy to take them on and off very quickly if you get something wrapped around them or to clean. So there we go, our Mantis is all back together, the tines are on, as you can see how that clip goes in there to hold them on, very easy and very simple. And I've given it a good clean up. I didn't film it, but I have taken all the cover off. I took all this top cover off and washed all that to give it a clean, because it was full of mud in there. If you've got one of these and you're having difficulties, it starts okay and runs, but won't give you full power. You know, it's just lacking power. And if it's a particularly old one, you know, you've had for many, many years, I've experienced, not on this one, but some other people on our allotments had these because they were so popular. And because I used to dabble about with little bits of machinery, they used to often bring them to me if I could see anything wrong or do anything. And what I found was in the exhaust, if you take this top plastic cover off, in the exhaust is below here. And then there's 3 screws that hold a little exhaust cover on, and below that cover is a piece of very fine mesh where the exhaust blows out. Now, obviously, if for any reason, you know, it's been a little bit oily mix, you know, like I said yesterday, I believe, you know, people don't always get the mix quite right, 50-1. That's why I like to use this Aspen fuel, which is all pre-mixed for you. It can, you know, carbon up this little screen on the exhaust, and that has the effect on the 2 that I've serviced. It has the effect of not giving the machine full power if it gets really, obviously the machine can't breathe, it can't get the exhaust out, gases out, and it kind of chokes it up, and so it won't give you full power. So if you have got one of these and it's not giving full power, it's always worth checking that exhaust screen there. There could be many other reasons why that is not giving you full power, but that's what I found on 2 machines, 2 Mantises, strangely enough. But there we go. I'm rambling on now and making this an even longer video, but I'm really pleased with how that's cleaned up. It looks, you know, to think that sat in a shed for 15 years, I'm very happy with that, and it works well. It starts first or second pull. Something I didn't say is I did get these, on the video of yesterday, it was so windy, I did get the fuel pipes wrong. I got the black on the top. Well, it shouldn't be the black on the top. For those that spot the deliberate mistake earlier in the video, it should be this kind of yellowy colour, clear plastic pipe on the top, and the black one goes on the bottom of the carb. So just to make that clear, it's the clear yellowy one on the top, the black on the bottom. I quickly had to reverse those because it wouldn't prime. You soon know you've done it wrong because it wouldn't the priming bulb wouldn't fill with fuel as it should do, as it's done like there. So I got those wrong way round, a basic mistake. So there we go. That is the Mantis cultivator, ready for action. And as I say, we will do a video of it being used on some, you know, dug ground, and I'll show you what it performs like. Thank you always for watching. I hope if you've got one of these and you've recently bought one, or you're looking at buying one, you might have found that interesting. Sorry if I look as though I've been blown through a hedgerow backwards. I feel as though I have out here in this gown. My little, I think it's a useless little microphone thing has blown off again, so you'll probably hear a lot of wind noise. And as always, thanks very much for watching. Please do. Oh, I've got some competition next door now. Please do think about subscribing. It does help grow these sort of channels, and thank you to the new subscribers, and any likes, any comments are gratefully received. Thank you very much for all your lovely kind thoughts and comments. And as I always say, wherever you are in the world, good gardening, and I'll catch up with you with some more gardening videos, hopefully when the weather's a bit less windy next time. Until that time, my best wishes and bye for now.